the most terrifying human experiments in history, Herophilus and his colleague carried out dissections on living people to understand the human body. Hundreds of island residents were exposed to radiation. Hold tight, we're starting. In the 4th century BCE, Greek civilization was rising toward its peak. People were becoming increasingly curious about the world around them and began asking important questions. What is this for? How does it work? What is the order of nature? While some explored the mechanical workings of the universe, others focused on understanding the inner structure of humans, not only philosophically, but physically as well. The Greek physician Herophilus was one of those who sought to explore this. After completing his education, he traveled to Alexandria in Egypt to expand the limits of his knowledge. In this city, famous for its great library and scientific environment, he began working with a student to develop the emerging science of anatomy, but this required bodies, and the authorities of Alexandria provided prisoners. The problem was, they were not merely examining cadavers. Herophilus and his colleague carried out dissections on living people to understand the human body. These procedures were sometimes performed in public. Anesthesia was nearly non-existent. The subjects felt every cut. Organs were examined. Nerves were severed. Motor nerves were deliberately damaged to induce paralysis. These horrific methods led to important discoveries in human anatomy, but at the cost of unimaginable suffering. Their work was stored in the Library of Alexandria, and it was lost in the Great Fire. Project 4.1. In 1954, after the United States conducted the Castle Bravo nuclear test, a side project was launched, Project 4.1. The test in the Marshall Islands was 2.5 times stronger than expected, about 15 megatons of TNT. This was hundreds of times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. The issue was this: the region had not been fully evacuated. Hundreds of island residents were exposed to radiation. The project aimed to study how humans respond to high radiation levels. Participants were not informed, and the project was kept secret. Symptoms appeared: hair loss, skin damage, wounds, long-term tumors, thyroid cancer, increased miscarriages, and stillbirths. Years later, island representatives accused the United States. Debate continues to this day. Soviet poison laboratories. In 1921, the Soviet Secret Service established a poison laboratory. The goal to develop lethal poisons that could not be detected. Test subjects, prisoners from labor camps, substances disguised as medicine were administered. Cyanide, curare, powerful neurotoxins. The objective: a colorless, odorless killer that left no trace. These experiments later contributed to political assassination methods. Guatemala syphilis experiment. In a US-backed experiment, 1946-1948, about 1,300 people in Guatemala were unknowingly infected with syphilis and gonorrhea infected. Subjects included patients, orphanage children, residents of psychiatric hospitals. The aim was to test the effectiveness of antibiotics. Records were poorly kept and ethical violations were severe. Many people were harmed. The US government formally apologized years later. Unit 731 experiment. During World War II, Japan's Unit 731 facility became the site of some of the most horrific human experiments in history. Subjects included Chinese civilians, prisoners of war, women and children. Experiments involved starvation tests, freezing experiments, pressure chambers, biological infections, live surgical procedures. At the end of the war, the facility was destroyed. Some of those responsible were not prosecuted. Immunity was granted in exchange for their research data. Humanity has made incredible progress in pursuit of knowledge, but sometimes that progress came at a dark cost. Science without ethics is merely power, and power when misused can be terrifying.